So, in this world, people tell you a lot. Follow your dream. Don't be afraid to dream, right? God, that always sounds romantic when you hear it, doesn't it? So, what are people talking about? What is this supposed to mean anyway? It just sounds kind of cool, but what's it supposed to mean? Follow your dreams. Anybody? Is it good advice? Huh?
Depends on what your dream is, I guess.
Depends on what your dream is.
Dream is a nightmare.
The dream could lead you to a nightmare. Nobody hardly ever says follow reality, do they? They tell you to follow your dream. So I've always wondered when I heard that. This really makes sense. Srimad Bhagavatam talks about that. By the way, Dakota, you're here first time? Yeah. Do you have Bhagavad Gita?
I do not.
Well, we're going to get you one free of charge as our gift of love to you, okay? So we're not going to read from Bhagavad Gita tonight, but that doesn't mean that you can't read from Bhagavad Gita. Well, we usually do. That's our main scripture that we talk about. But Srimad Bhagavatam is pretty amazing. And this is from the second canto, fifth chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this suggestion, follow your dream. So sometimes that can make some sense. But what is a dream actually? A dream is something that you believe is happening when in fact it's not. Right? Has anybody here ever had a bad dream? Yeah, we've all had them, haven't we? Where you wake up, and it's like terrible. You ever wake up screaming, no, leave me alone. So I've seen people wake up in the middle of the night screaming like that. So they're having a dream, like you're being eaten by a tiger or chased by thugs or, like that. So, but you are startled when you wake up from these kinds of dreams, aren't you? Like, wait a minute, where am I? Where'd the tiger go? Well, I could just feel him crunching my bones. It was real, wasn't it? So the dream is real when you're in the dream. When you come out of the dream, you realize that wasn't reality at all. That was just some thing that was happening. I was living a movie that my mind was making. And it was terrible. Sometimes the dreams are kind of good. Everybody dreams, they say. I don't know really how they know that, but science says that everybody dreams. Most of your dreams you can't remember. It's just the parts just before you wake up that you remember typically. So, and if it's a bad enough dream, it'll wake you up, even if it's not time to get up yet. So, you've seen people in a dream, they're having a dream and they're twitching and, doing all kinds of things and fighting away. So they're in this reality, but they're also in that dream. And they may be dreaming something like I'm being eaten by a tiger, or they could dream that I'm a king. I am a king and I have unlimited wealth. I have servants and tons of gold. Why, everything I have is gold. So sometimes we have dreams like that. So the fact of the matter is there are dreams and there are reality. Reality is here. And but when we come out of the dream and we wake up into this reality, how do we know that this isn't a dream? We were in this dream, we were dreaming, we were having a dream. So That's kind of confusing, and that can be debated. You know, how do we know this isn't a dream? Well, the fact is, this is a dream. This material reality that we experience is also a dream. It's real right now. To us, it's real. But when we come out of this temporary world that we find ourselves in, you're going to realize it was just all a dream. It's real, like a dream is real. It's real while you're in it. So, is this boring you or is this interesting? Huh? It's kind of interesting stuff to talk about. So, this is a discussion between a great sage, Sukadeva Goswami, and Maharaj Parikshit, who was cursed to die in 7 days. And so, he's a very wise king. No way he could break the curse. So he knew, I'm dying in 7 days. So what did he choose to do with the last 7 days of his life? He's a king, wealthy. Live it up? Bring on the wine and the women? No, he decided that he wanted to know all there is to know about this world, the afterworld, God, his relationship with God. He wanted to know who is worshipful. How should I worship like that? So he's having this conversation with Sukadeva Goswami, who knew all the answers to this. He's a realized soul. So Sukadeva Goswami said, O king, unless one is influenced by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no meaning to the relationship of the pure soul in pure consciousness with the material body. That relationship is just like a dreamer's seeing his own body working. So when you're dreaming, you may see your own body doing things. You may have a dream where you're making some beautiful painting on the wall. But in reality, you've never picked up a paintbrush. Don't have the artistic talent. So let's step through this, because this is saying a lot. In a verse that says a lot. Unless one is influenced by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no meaning to the relationship of the pure soul in pure consciousness with the material body. There is no relationship between you and this body that we wear around. It's only a dream. You're not this body. This hits home pretty quick. You're not your body. How could you possibly be your body? Do you have a, what do they call it, an expiration date? Do you expire? Your body does. Somewhere on your body, there's probably tiny little print that says expires on such and such a date, But you, the soul, the one who's driving this body, the owner of the body, you don't have an expiration date. You're eternal. This isn't your first rodeo. They like to say that in Texas, and I like to repeat it. This isn't your first body. This isn't the first time you've done this. Why, you've done this trillions of times. You had trillions of dreams that you were a king or a pauper or somebody famous or somebody poor. You see, somebody infamous. You've had all of these dreams, body after body after body. Now, but why is this happening? Does anybody wonder that? Why am I caught here in this body, in this temporary life, which makes it a dream? Because I'm going to wake up and realize that I'm not this body. All of us are going to wake up and realize we're not these bodies at a certain time in the future. That's called the time of death. At the time of death, you're going to realize this isn't me, because you're going to exit. You're going to leave it. You're going to leave it behind. perhaps as you leave, you may glance back. You're probably not going to like to see what you see. If you die of old age, you'd be glad to get out of that thing. So, but it's going to happen to all of us. We're going to leave this body. The body will get to the point to where it's not conducive for you to stay in it. We all know this. You know, we understand this. So at that time, you'll realize that you're not the body. So, but what happens after that? Srimad Bhagavatam explains it. Bhagavad Gita explains it. The scriptures explain what happens at the time of death. Science makes all kinds of guesses. There's lots of speculation. But what really happens is you go on to your next desire. It was your desire that got you in this body to begin with. And you go on to your unfulfilled desire. That unfulfilled desire right now is building your next body. It's being sculpted by you and your desires. It's not a punishment. I mean, you could say it's a punishment, but it's not. It's a self-punishment if it's a punishment. But it's you living out all of your dreams. I dream this. I want this. Now, would you like an example? It's a crude example, but it works. You want to hear an example? All right. So let's say at the time of death, the sum total of all of your unfulfilled desires is centered around sex life. Now that shoe fits a lot of people. A lot of people, most of us are probably, from time to time at least, driven by a sex desire, wouldn't you say? Huh? Would you? Yeah, I mean, come on. We don't have to be embarrassed. We're in a material world. So if that's the sum total, your main desires, then this human body is not practical for those desires. Sex life is much more complicated for human beings than it is dogs. Why, there's no complication to a dog at all. You know? They don't have to date. You know? He doesn't have to take her to a movie. He's not going to buy her dinner. He's going to eat it first, if you know. They can do their thing in public. It's not against the law, is it? Nobody's going to come and say, all right, we're going to have to take you to the pound for this. You know, that's breaking dog law. No. What are the laws for dogs? Pretty few, huh? So, pigeon, the body of a pigeon. Body of a pigeon can have sex life once every 15, 20 minutes. All day, every day. That sounds good, doesn't it? Huh? There's no palimony. Why, you're not even there when the eggs hatch. You know, who does DNA on pigeons anyway? There's no child support. So it's much more, if that is your desire, there are bodies that'll better fit your desire. So if that is your desire, the body that you're building in your next life is probably not that of a human being. You don't need the body of a human being. Now, some people may say, but don't humans enjoy sex life more than animals? That's an interesting thought. What do you think? I don't think so. No. The animal senses are much more developed than ours. Why, a dog can smell like 90 to 100 times better than a human being. Who in here has a dog? Anybody have a dog? Okay. Does your dog smell better than you? Well, then you should take a bath once in a while. Sorry, I couldn't pass that on.
Underhand pitch.
That's an underhand view. I'm sorry. But you know, he smells. His sense of smell is 100 times better. Sight. He can see better than you. Well, he can see practically in darkness. You can't. Smell, hearing, come on, taste, sense of touch. You know, if you pet a dog, he starts to, you know, you just have to touch a dog and he's like, ah, ah. Cats are the same way, you see. So if it's that kind of gratification that really drives your interest, well, then there are bodies out there that are much better designed to fulfill that desire. This is just logical, you see. So we're in this body, and we're influenced by the energies of unless one is influenced by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there's no meaning to the relationship of the pure soul in pure consciousness with the material body. Now, what's being said here is that you, the eternal living entity, you're being influenced right now. I mean, we know that we're influenced. We can tell we're influenced by advertising, trends. I mean, come on, just look at how somebody can change. I can remember, you know, back in the 70s, all of a sudden, through the 60s, men's ties were skinny, narrow ties. If you ever look at, anybody here ever watch the Twilight Zone show? Remember Rod Serling? And he had that little skinny tie in the 60s. Then in the 70s, the ties started getting wider, right? Nobody would wear a skinny tie in the 70s. That's just not cool. Why? Because you're under the influence of style, fashion. You want to look, you want to fit in. So we're influenced. But it's even much broader than that. Are we influenced? You're influenced by the trends and the beliefs of the sector that you're born into. You see, you come under the influence of the material nature as soon as you take birth. You don't know how to speak, so you learn how to speak. You learn the language that you're born into, customs that you're born into. You see, the culture that you're born into, and it could be very different from the guy in the next country over. You see, so we're born into this dream, and you start desiring to fit in. And yet, I want to be a little unique. I want to be, you know, if I want to ride with the Hells Angels, I got to have a nice Harley, right? So now everybody in the Hells Angels rides a Harley, don't they? But I don't want mine to be just like yours. I want mine to be like yours, but unique. So that's the way we are. We want to fit in with a group, but we always want to keep our uniquity. I want to be different, similar, but different. And that's how I fit into my dream. I have my dreams within my dreams. And the reason that I'm having this dream is because I decided to leave the real world and come into this dream world. So what was I looking for? Why did I decide to leave the real world? What am I looking for? Well, Srimad Bhagavatam says, basically, you were envious of God. You're there in God's kingdom, and you start to think, you know what? I think I can do this God thing just as good as you can. Now, sometimes we beat around the bush and say, well, maybe this and maybe that. But Prabhupada, my guru, comes out and says it. You were envious. You're envious of the Supreme. You're living in his world, which is also your world. And you're part and parcel of that world. But you have free will. You have freedom to desire whatever it is that you want. Separate. You can be separate from God because you're not a prisoner. You're held by love, but you have free will. And when we're living in his domain, we can't be him. We can't equal him. We are very beautiful like God. We're very powerful like God, but we're not the source of power, and we're not the source of beauty. Beauty and love are coming from God. You see, we're part of that energy, but we're not the source of that energy. Sometimes we get a little envious of the source of beauty and the energy and the love, you see. So I decide, I've had it. I'm going to go someplace where I can try to be number one. You see, I want to go. So, and it's not like you're bad. I don't want anybody to feel, oh gosh, I'm so terrible. No, it's not like that. You just decided that you wanted to be all you could be without him. And so this world, which is a temporary world, like a dream, is created for you to come and have your journey where you try your best to be equal to, or even better than, God. Right? Because in his world, he's the center of attention. And that's wonderful. Sometimes we get a little envious of that center of attention placed on him. So it's like, this beautiful picture. Take a picture of this group. When we pass, I've got to stop saying this. When we pass the picture around, we don't do that anymore, do we? We pass the phone around because we take pictures with our phone, and then or when you get your copy of the picture on your social media, who's the first person you're going to look for? Good old number one, right? Because you are the center of your universe. Doesn't mean you're bad. That's just the way you are right now. You took your eye off the center of everything, which is the source of beauty. And because you're almost as beautiful, you're thinking, I can compete. So we come to this material world. So, yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Certainly.
So just to clarify, like when you think, can you give some examples as to how the living in? Because I think that sometimes, like when I hear that, it's like, because I think we just exist in that state of, till we wake up and we get some spiritual knowledge, we just exist in that state of, somewhat envy. Like I want to be the center of attention, but we don't really even think about God. It's like we've been that way for so long that it's like, no, it's just how it is. How am I trying to be God? And I was wondering if you can kind of explain that a little bit. Give an example.
Well, we're trying to be, how are we trying to be God?
Yeah.
We're trying to be the enjoyer. We want to enjoy. And I want to be noticed. I mean, even people who are introverts, they want to be noticed. So, and I'm in a world full of people who have the same mindset that I do. We're all a little envious of the Supreme, and we're all wanting to grab all the enjoyment that we can get in this material world. In the world that we come from, our home, resources are unlimited. This material world is like a perverted mirror reflection of the real world. Here, resources are limited. And so we have to fight. We have to struggle to get resources for our enjoyment. You see, my allotment according to my karma. Does anybody believe in karma? Yeah, it's a law. It's there. Some people say, I don't believe in the law of karma. Well, do you believe in the law of gravity? Doesn't matter if you do or not. You're stuck to this planet. So you can say, I don't believe it. But even the Bible says, as you sow, so shall you reap. Science says for every action, there's an equivalent and opposite reaction. So we know that this cause and effect law exists. So maybe your karma doesn't allow you enough resources to enjoy on the level that you want. So that means I need some of yours. You've got good karma. I'm envious of that. I want it, you see. So I take from you and I take from you. That's my nature because it's enviousness that brings us into this material world and causes us to struggle to outdo. Most people are driven by profit. We need to make some money. We need to make a lot of it because we all know that the more money I make, the more money I have, the more I can enjoy, right? Doesn't really work that way. I mean, does anybody in here know any really, really wealthy people? Yeah. I know some extremely wealthy people, and they'll be the first ones to tell you that just because you have money doesn't mean you're going to enjoy on a higher level. You see? As a matter of fact, yeah, you have a question?
Yeah, I was wondering how this was tying in with the.
Oh, I'm answering his question. Yeah, I'll get back to it because he kind of got me a little. That's okay. I have to take a little bit of a. So, yeah, you see, it's enviousness that brings us here, and it's enviousness that keeps us here. Even if I don't think that I'm envious, I really and truly am. You see, that's the nature of most people in the material world. So, does that answer your question? We're envious of. If we're going to be envious of anybody, why wouldn't we be envious of God? You know, we want stuff to enjoy. We want resources. He is the source. How come he ain't sending more my way? You see? So, the vision of the dreamer, let's get back to that. So, in this world, my home, I can't beat God, I can't equal God. So I come to this material world because I want to get away from it. I want to get away from him because everywhere I look, when I'm home, it's nothing but Krishna. He's everywhere. Why, he's the most beautiful. Everyone loves him. Of course, everyone loves you too, but not as much as they love him. He's the source of love. He's so dynamic. You see? So I come to this material world to get away from him. I need to forget him. That's really not possible. You can't forget somebody that wonderful. You just can't. So you need some help. You need some help from his Atma Maya, illusion. You need to be put into illusion. You came here to forget him, so when you get here, your helper is Atma Maya. Yes?
I know that, like you said, we came here to get away from Krishna. But I was thinking, isn't the trick on us because isn't this part of Krishna?
That's true. And the trick is on you. That's a perfect observation. You needed help of illusion to believe that you're away from him. For you to say, I want to lay some proprietorship on this piece of land here. I want to give you X number of thousands of dollars, and you sign me over the title to this land. That's an illusion. It still belongs to the source. He never deeded it over to anybody. And especially in this country, we have a short history of acquisition of land. Why? In Europe, Land has been owned by people for so many centuries that, who knows who the first owner is. But I mean, in America, we just kind of grabbed it, not that awful long ago. We just took it and we've been here. You can trace, well, it went on down like that, you see. So, but how can you? How can we actually own it? How can it be ours? We don't manufacture any resources. We're not the source of any resources. So, yeah, for us to dream this dream, we need help. We need to fall into illusion. You see, we need to be able to believe that that which is not is. I need to accept this as reality. And I can even forget that there is a God. And many people go birth after birth thinking there is no God. Some think maybe there's a God. Some people think, yeah, there is a God, but who knows what he is? You see, as your spiritual consciousness starts to awaken, you start to get a better and better vision of who you are, who he is, and where you've come from. You see, but at certain points of your development, you have no idea that there's a God. You may be even convinced that there is no God. Or you get to the point where you advance a little bit and you just have doubts that there's a God. Like on and on like that. Then your consciousness, your spiritual consciousness could advance to the level that you fully believe in God, but he's just there to give you daily bread. Hey, God, give me this. Hey, God, give me that. Hey, God, give me some health. Give me some wealth. Beautiful partner. Good job, promotion. Give me, give me, give me. That's pious. That's not being a bad guy. That's pious to go to God and ask, to go to the source and ask for something. But it's not your true nature. It's not very loving, is it? Just always give me, give me, give me. You're my order supplier. I realize that you're God and that you're the source of everything. So why don't you send some of this good stuff my way? Because I want to enjoy your energy separate from you. I just want your energy. You see, that's my dream. I want to go on with my dream of enjoying within this world that you've created for me to try to enjoy. You see, the struggle to enjoy. So now, some people may think, is it wrong? Are you saying it's wrong to enjoy? What do you think? Does anybody think it's wrong to enjoy? No. No, it's your nature. It's the nature of the living entity to enjoy. Home, where you came from, is full of enjoyment. Why? You, as a living entity, are Sat Chit Ananda. Sat, you are eternal. Chit, you're full of knowledge. Practically everything God knows. That's a lot. And you're Ananda, means you're eternally blissful, not just real happy or in a dang good mood. Blissful. That is your true entitlement as a living entity, as a part and parcel of God. You're entitled to be blissful. So, but we're probably not blissful all the time, are we? Well, because we backed out and went our separate way to try to do it away from him. You see? Yeah.
So you kind of hit the nail on the head. The analogy of you passing around a picture around the room. You're like, where am I? What do I have to do with this? I'm pretty guilty of that. I do it all the time. And like I said, I'm kind of guilty of that. What do I do about it? I don't know.
Well, this practice of Krishna consciousness is learning how to refocus in the right direction. You see, as we chant Hare Krishna, we've just been chanting Hare Krishna together. If we continue to chant this Hare Krishna mantra, our dormant love, and it's there, but it's just dormant. All of this information is nothing new to you, the living entity. You already know this. But as you chant Hare Krishna, your dormant love will begin to awaken. You see? And you start to seek out this object of your love. God is the only pure object of love. Others are what my guru calls fallible soldiers. You can love, 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 and then you're left with nothing. That's not true with Krishna. It's not true of the pure soul who's realized his eternal relationship with Krishna. When someone has come out of this illusion, why, they're never going to leave. Their love for you never stops. It's not possible for it to stop. You see? Because they're coming out of the influence of illusion. They're out of the dream. Even though you're walking around in this material body, in this material world, you're out of the dream. You're back in reality. That's a wonderful way to spend your time. You see through everything. It's just like when you see through a marketing ploy, when somebody's trying to sell you, I don't know, what's the iPhone up to now? You know, it's hard, huh? 14? You know, so now they're going to try to sell you the 15 probably pretty soon.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got the 14, it's probably a really great camera. I mean, you know, it's got a great camera. It's a great phone. But they're damn good at getting you to want that new one. Why people on the sidewalk, they'll spend the night, they'll camp out, waiting to be the first ones to get the new 15. You know, so the material energy is always trying to give you what you want. It's always trying to, because we came here to enjoy. And so the duty, the service that this world provides is, okay, here's your enjoyment. Go for it. Of course, you're going to have to work and make money to afford your iPhone 15. But, yeah, do you have a question?
The material world is trying to give us what we want, or just entice us?
It's trying to entice you and to convince you that it's all right. I know you haven't gotten it yet, but it's coming. You know, why there are people who will tell you that you can do anything if you just focus on it, and that's partially true. Tony Robbins will tell you that if you just focus and if you believe this and believe that, you'll become successful. So it's like in America, it's one of the few countries, if you travel around a little bit, you realize that America is very unique in many ways. But here we have the right to the pursuit of happiness. You don't have the right to be happy. You have the right to pursue happiness. And that's to most people, well, that's all I need to hear. You mean in this country, I get to pursue happiness? Well, in the material world, that's what all living entities are doing. They're pursuing happiness. In the spiritual world, all the living entities are as happy as they possibly can be, but it keeps increasing at every moment. See? So there's no one there trying to sell you anything, right, to entice you. The material energy here isn't evil. It's designed to give you what you want. There's no possible way to enjoy separate from Krishna. He's the source. So, but we want to. So the material energy convinces you, you can. Keep on struggling. Why don't you give me a a whole bunch of money and I'll give you an education, with some years after your name, and you can make a ton of money. Ton of money, you get profit. Why, if you're good enough at what you do, you might even get some fame. You might even become distinguished in your field. And if you do all that, you will be adored by somebody, probably lots of people. Fame, profit, adoration, distinction, we're all driven by that for the most part. The hope that someday I can do real big and enjoy on a higher level. But it doesn't work like that. If you talk to people that have gone from rags to riches, they didn't have much money. And then after a few years of hard work and some good karma, they find themselves just rolling in money. They actually feel more miserable than when they were poor. Because when I was making $2,000 a month, I enjoyed on this level. Now I'm making $200,000 a month. I should be enjoying on this level. It doesn't work that way. When you sit down to eat, if you're wealthy, that doesn't mean you can eat more. You can afford more expensive cognac, but it's going to make you just as sick as the cheap stuff if you drink too much of it. And you think, well, I'm entitled to enjoy. I'm rich. I have fame. Everybody knows who I am. I should be happy. But it's really kind of a pain. You talk to famous people. We had the experience of most of the Beatles were interested in Krishna consciousness at one time. So talking especially with George Harrison, this fame is not really what it's cut out to be. It's not that nice. It's not a great thing to be known wherever you go. Have people following you and harassing you. So fame, wealth, these things don't really give us what we hope that they would. Material energy will tell you, yes, go for it. You can become happy if you have enough money, fame. You'll get distinction and adoration. Isn't that what you're here for? So the living entity, the nature of us, the living entity, is simply to, what is it? Anybody know? What is it that your main function is? Practically your only function as a living entity. What is it? To love. You're a creature of love. Why? Your purpose for existing is to love. To love who? The source of love. To love Krishna. Why? He doesn't need you. God doesn't need you or me or any of us. He's completely complete. He is the complete whole. He's the source. He has everything, and from him everything emanates. He has no need, but he has an intense desire for us. He wants to share love. He can love more intensely than anything, but he wants you to love. He wants to feel your love. It enhances his ecstasy. But he's ecstatic even if we didn't exist. But his ecstasy is enhanced by us loving him. That's all he wants. That's all you got to do. To achieve perfection, all you have to do is love God. That's it. Then you'll be looking for your beloved in that picture instead of you. You see? You need to fall in love with the supreme object of love. To do that, we need to learn something about him. You can't love somebody or something that you don't know anything about. It's not possible. So we need to learn. What is it that's so great about this guy? All right, you tell me he's beautiful. You show me these pictures and I see the deity forms and I agree. All right, he looks like that. He's beautiful. Well, what about his personality? How does he think? You know, kind of a guy is he? Do you have to tippy-toe around him so he doesn't get angry at you? You know? Does he appreciate a good joke? Does he like to pull jokes on people? You see? We need to know this. We need to get to know this personality of God. Therefore, we need to take shelter in Srimad Bhagavatam, which tells you what this guy's all about, what his personality is like. Bhagavad Gita tells you. And associate with people who are trying to understand this loving, supremely loving person. We need to learn. We need to know. Once we find out just a little bit about him, we'll find our love waking up. We realize, yeah, I've always been in love with you. Why? You've always been in love with me. I really didn't have a reason to leave home. Yeah.
So God is like the controller of everything. Is God like essentially daydreaming creation into existence? And because I feel like it's part and parcel of God. God has to program the situation for us to forget. So essentially, it's like God pretending to forget himself.
Well, he doesn't forget himself, but he controls the material energy. The material energy controls you. We're under the control of the material energy. And it's all of this is going on. It's not like he stops being God so he can do this material world for your benefit so you can have your silly dream after dream after dream. Now, he's still Krishna. He's still doing what he loves to do. He loves to exchange love with the innumerable living entities. And only a few of them, that would be us, have decided to come to this material world to try to find some enjoyment separate from him. So he can do both. He can multitask. You see, he's in this world as Mahavishnu. And this material world is like his dream. So that you can have your dream within his dream. And every so often he folds the whole thing up and puts it away and then takes it back out. This is all explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. This is very interesting stuff to know. How does this world come into being? Why? Science can tell you some speculations about how the world came into existence, but they don't even approach why. Because to think why, then the creator, we have to recognize a creator, and the creator has a personality. And it was preconceived. They don't want to go there. Most people don't want to go there. Many times we find people who want to believe in a higher power, but I don't want to get close to that higher power. You know, I want to believe that the higher power is why the universe. Doesn't make any sense. You got all these planets, and these are the higher power? Come on. Throw logic in here. Just because there's a lot of rocks floating around out there, that's the higher power? And if we put something out to the universe, where is it going to go? Is anybody, when you put it out, who or what is going to catch it and say, oh, I see you've put this problem of yours out to me. Why, I'll fix it. Well, come on, no. You know, I could just see, what is it, Jupiter saying, okay, I've got your answer. I'll do this for you. You know, no, we don't want to give God a personality. We would rather just put it out to the big rocks floating around out there in space. Because if I give him a personality, then I got to have a relationship with him. You know, and he's like all powerful, and that's uncomfortable. You know, he might start making demands on me. I may not want to do what he wants. I smell conflict with a supreme entity. I don't want that. So I feel more comfortable. There's no personality out there. It's just the universe or whatever. The covering of the spiritual world, the bright, dazzling effulgence of the spiritual world called the Brahmjyoti. I think that is God. You see? We've all heard of that philosophy, haven't we? You know, it's very popular. People think that the ultimate goal is for us to go merge into the light. That light is called Brahmjyoti. It's real. And you can actually go merge into it if you want to. I mean, you're not going to become one with it, but you can go there. It's not very easy, but there are yoga processes that will allow you to go there. Has anybody heard of this philosophy, this merging? Yeah. What do you get when you get there and you merge with the light? Huh? Kind of like it. You're almost deleted, but you're still existing. But you get shanti. You get peace. You get relief from the pangs of material energy. You get relief from the repeated birth and death. Now, to a lot of people, they would jump and say, where do I sign? I'll take that. But if I'm punching you in the arm, and you say, please stop. And if I stop hitting you, now you've got peace, right? So escaping from suffering is not in and of itself the end best result. When you get into the light, no one's punching you in the arm. The material energy isn't kicking you like it was. Who are you going to be in love with? You're just in the light. Who's there to love? What's to love about them? So you miss out on that. Missing out on love is too high a price to pay for the living entity. You can't afford it. Now you may go there, but you're not going to stay. You're not going to stay in a world where there's no love. No matter how peaceful you feel, at some point, you're going to want some loving action, loving exchange. So if you're somewhat deleted in that light, how are you going to do that? Some people will say, well, it's just going to happen. No, it's not. Come on.
Is that the point at which the liberated soul?
No, at that point, you realize I'm missing out. This isn't the all in all. So you turn around and come back where you came from. Wherever you left the material world, you go right back to that spot. And you continue your journey looking for what else is there? I'm looking for love. But the Brahmjyoti didn't really give it to you. It gave you peace. And some people are so tired of suffering that that peace is really rewarding. It's really sweet. But it's not something that you can enjoy eternally. You're going to want love. You can't change that. That's just who and what you are. Did you have a question, or was it you?
Yes.
Yeah.
If our soul comes from, or me, comes from God, that means God created me, but I'm not the same as God. I'm a separate person. So at what point does it turn from, okay, I'm God being God, to I'm subservient to God? Where does that?
Well, see, now in the material world, and we've been here so long in this material world as souls on a journey, we believe this to be the all in all. And the laws of the material world are the only laws that we know. And we all know that in this world, everything has a beginning, a duration, and an end. In the spiritual world, there is no beginning to eternity. There is no duration, and there's no end. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, never was there a time when you did not exist. Never is there a time in the future when you'll cease to be. You see, once we get a full understanding of ourselves, then we realize that I am eternal. Death may come to my body, that doesn't affect me. And through my activities, I can control where I go next. When I leave this body, I have a big influence on where I'm going and what things are going to be like. And if I surrender to Krishna as his loving servant, then he decides. And his supreme plan is always going to be better than our minuscule plan that we think of for ourselves. As soon as we stop thinking of just ourselves and thinking of our union with Krishna in love, well, everything happens positive for us. He doesn't make mistakes. We do. He'll give you anything you want. But that's kind of good and it's kind of not so good, you know? Because what if you want something that's totally bad for you? And he's saying, if that's what you want, you can have it. Best to say, when he says, hey, what do you want? I'll give you anything you want. I want what you want. Hey man, you make the call. I want what you want. Even better than that. What do I want? Krishna, I want you. I want you to be mine. So that's called liberation. That's perfection. You don't have to die to get liberation. You know, some religions say you've got to die to get heaven and you've got to. Hare Krishna. When did you appear? Oh, okay. Some religions will tell you you got to die. And then you see if your faith was worth it. We don't say that. It's got to happen. It ought to happen far but long before you die. You realize this is real. This is true. I have Krishna. You become liberated. So, any more questions? Yes, Dakota. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes we're having dreams that aren't based on hope, but a lot of times we are. So hope and faith, we're taught by the material energy that these are good things to have. But how long should we have hope? How long should we have faith? I say no. I disagree. I don't want to live in eternity just hoping to be delivered. It's like when I order something from Amazon, I'm hoping that they'll deliver it. You know, they took my money.
Aren't you hoping that it stays with you?
Huh?
Aren't you hoping that it stays with you?
No. No.
So if it goes away, you're.
Well, I know that it won't. Faith should deliver you to knowing. Hope should deliver you to knowing. I see you and I have faith that you will be a good friend. So I'm investing faith in Dakota. Now, at some point in the future, I'm going to know whether Dakota is a good friend. You see what? So faith is told us by good-meaning, well-meaning people who don't have all the answers. That's why they're telling you to have hope and faith. Otherwise, they tell you the real answer. Faith is just a bridge to knowing. You have faith in God, but you're never going to know God. Krishna says in the very first verse of the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that if you practice yoga with full consciousness of Him, putting Him as number one, you will know Him in full, free from doubt. He doesn't ask for you to have eternal faith. Faith is like, when your car starts rolling, it's in first gear, and it's going to shift into second and third like that. So faith is just to get you rolling. But if it stays in first gear and you're just having faith and it goes on and on and on, you've thrown your faith in the wrong thing. It's got to deliver knowing. Otherwise, it's blind faith. I just know it will happen someday. I have hope and I have faith. But hope and faith should deliver you to knowing and having. That Amazon delivery has to arrive. Not you just don't hope. I hope it's on its way. I got a text that says it's out for delivery. I hope that they can find my house. It has to come true. It has to go full circle. Gee whiz, they just delivered my package. It really did happen. My hope, and I had faith in Amazon, and I was hoping that they would live up to my faith. Dang, they did it. Well, then that's another story. You see? But God's not like that. You have faith in God, and faith in God, and hope and faith, and hope and faith, and hope and faith, and years go on, and decades go on, and lifetimes go on, and you don't get Him, then you need to invest that hope and faith someplace else. The path that you've taken doesn't have Him at the end. You see, it should deliver. Hope and faith should deliver. Otherwise, what's the use? It just keeps you from despair, to have hope and faith. Is that what it's meant for? Just to keep me from despair? Keep me out of anxiety? Then I can tell myself when I'm not getting it, and I can say, but I've got faith. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. According to the teachings of the Vedas. And it's been proven. I've been practicing this for 51 years, and I've seen it proven again and again and again. In the beginning, it's like my guru said that we should expect miracles. And in the beginning, the miracles that we experienced, why, they were amazing, weren't they? It's amazing. After a while, it's just normal. A miracle is only a miracle when it happens the first 3-4 times max. After 300 or 400, it ain't a miracle anymore. This is just the way it's supposed to work. In the material energy, why, we're amazed at so many things. We're easy to amaze. The sleight of hand magician can amaze you. And he's just doing a trick. I've known magicians that were really, really good. They could actually do something right in front of you. It looks like they're making cards appear out of their hand. It's just a trick. And I'm amazed. How did you do that? Well, I can't tell you how I did it, but it's just a trick. You could do it. Nothing special.
So it's really scary to have faith because, I mean, they call it a leap of faith. You don't really know exactly what you're jumping into. Like you said, you're having faith for something that you don't really know. And that seems risky. And what if you hope for something and you hope for the wrong thing and you get it? And
Well, you've done that billions of times. So have I.
then,
Yeah, hoping for the wrong thing, and I got it. So you have to invest faith, but if you don't get a return, then you need to go take a different path. Faith should pay off if it's invested in the right thing. It'll pay off. If it's invested in the wrong thing, then that's all you've got is your faith. And some people will tell you all we have is faith and hope. And maybe that's enough for a lot of people. But as your spiritual intelligence grows, you realize, no, that's not enough. You see, like I said, people that don't know all the questions, they don't know all the answer. And they don't even know all the questions about spiritual life. They'll tell you, just have faith. And because you don't know all the answers, you'll say, thanks. And it feels good. It's like an elixir. But, for one who's a little bit more spiritually advanced, it's not an elixir. It's just, I want my payoff. I'm having faith in Krishna. I want him. Yeah.
Also, Narahari Prabhu once did a class on this type of thing. He was saying, like, when we have knowledge, the faith becomes, we may still have to have faith, but it's practically not faith anymore, because if we're like reading the Bhagavad Gita, for example, like we have faith the sun's going to rise, and we see that, the sun's coming over. We haven't seen the sun yet, but, there's light on the horizon. There's, the birds are chirping. The darkness is dissipating. It's warming up. Everything, all the symptoms that the sun is going to rise are there. We may not have seen the sun, but because of all the knowledge that we know, all these are the symptoms of the sun, we're already experiencing it. We're already perceiving it, but we just haven't seen it yet. So in the same way, we're going to see Krishna. We may not have seen Krishna yet, or may not have that perception of God yet, but in the beginning stage, you can start to, with reading, with hearing and chanting, you can start to see that this is going to happen.
Faith starts fading away when you see it coming over the horizon. It's not that faith's a bad thing. You need it to get things rolling. Like I tell people, try Krishna consciousness. Drive it around the block, see if it works. Not, let it go. Go find something that really does fulfill your needs for love and knowledge. But to reject Krishna consciousness means you have to say to yourself and to the world, I don't want this knowledge. I don't want to know more. I need to stay in ignorance. And when I'm in this stage of ignorance, hope and faith means a lot more to me. It's much more valuable. I feel like I need it. I don't want the knowledge, because if I get it, then between me and myself, I'm going to be trying to twist my own arm to make a move. You got the knowledge, got the understanding, the ball is in your court. Well, but I don't want to know this. I'd rather stay in a situation of not knowing, because it's more comfortable. I want to go back into not knowing. So the question is, once you hear the knowledge, once you get it, how do you dumb yourself down? You're not able to do that. So, all right, anything else? So, Srila Prabhupada says, I'm going to read these last two sentences that he says here. The dream is that the conditioned soul thinks he is the material body as I, or falsely thinks that he is the Lord, and that everything in connection with that material body is mine. Thus, only in dream does the misconception of I and mine persist, life after life. What is yours? What can you own? In the material world, it's not necessary to own, in the spiritual world, it's not necessary to own anything. That's a concept that's only in the material world. I'm here, this is mine. In the spiritual world, this is ours. Instead of just an I, there's a we. There's an us. And we're all working together in harmony to serve Krishna. You see? Instead of I want for my enjoyment. We all want for Krishna's enjoyment.
Oh, man.
All right. I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Wow,